Good morning, afternoon, creator. Today is today is the 30th of Wednesday of November, but right now it is 11:10 a.m. in the morning. Right now we're going to go over section 14 out of our lovely book You, written by Charles F. Haanel, and this section is entitled Magnetism. The last section we read were the emotions. So we're a little bit excited to see exactly how this section, or what this section is going to talk about. So, with all that being said, let's go ahead and get started. I actually just finished making a quick video on my Instagram, talking about this, that we're actually getting ready to make this video. And those of you who, feel free to look me up, follow me. My username is CoreyA94_yogi. You will see me there. So let's go ahead and get started. Section 14. In an ordinary bar of iron or steel, the molecules arrange themselves promiscuously in the body. And if we don't know what promiscuously means, then promiscuously means they're not arranged in order. They're scattered all over the place. The magnetic currents are satisfied internally, and there is no resulting external magnetism. Now remember, molecules are made out of atoms, and atoms in turn are made out of electrons. Okay, a molecule is something that, once an atom by itself is nothing but an indivisible, definite amount of energy. It's only until these atoms group together and they form molecules that they really start to take on their own personal properties. Because remember, molecules are the most basic. How can I say this? It's something that can maintain its own identity. A molecule is something that can maintain its own identity. Like oxygen and hydrogen. They're both molecules, they're air molecules, they're particles, but they're hydrogen and carbon because of the amount of electrons and atoms which compose that molecule are made of. Because a molecule, remember, is the most fundamental, most simple form of identity for something. The magnetic circuits are satisfied internally, and there is no resulting external magnetism. When the bar is magnetized, the molecules rearrange themselves according to the law of attraction, turn on their axis, and assume positions more nearly in a straight line with their north ends pointing the same way. The closed magnetic current circuits are thus broken up and external magnetism made evident. So only when this magnetized bar of steel, is magnetized with the force, that's when the molecules which make up that bar of steel, they change, they arrange themselves in accordance, they come together in order, okay? And then when they come together in order, all the north ends of those molecules that make up this ordinary bar of iron or steel, once they are magnetized, all the north ends point the same way, which results in external magnetism, because then they come in order. Remember, the magnetic lines then come together and they work in order. They're like parallel with each other. Because remember what we learned, that our own magnetic body has lines of magnetism. There's lines in there, and if the lines aren't working in parallel, then there's not going to be an open circuit for the magnetism to flow and travel through. You cannot see the molecules of iron or steel changing their relative positions under the influence of magnetism, but the effect reveals the change which has taken place. When all of the molecules have turned on their axis until they are arranged symmetrically, the bar has been completely magnetized. It cannot be further influenced, however strong the force, when they are arranged symmetrically, when they are made in order. The bar has now become a magnet and will exert force in every direction. The amount of force which the magnet will exert decreases as the distance from the magnet increases. The magnetic lines complete their circuits independently and never cut, cross, or merge into each other. How we were just saying right now, these magnetic lines, they never touch each other, they never cross each other, and it's only until these lines are actually made parallel with each other, symmetrical, then that's not going to have any external magnetic force possible. Another bar of iron or steel placed in the magnetic field of a magnet assumes the properties of the magnet. This phenomenon is known as magnetic induction. This is the action and reaction which always precedes the attraction of a magnet for a magnetic body. Electricity is the invisible agent known to us only by its various manifestations. You are a perfect electrical plant. Food, water, and air furnish the fuel. The solar plexus is a storage battery, and the sympathetic nervous system is the medium by which the body is charged with magnetism. Sleep is the process by which the battery is recharged and the vital processes replenished and renewed. So it's like the feud, our own personal power plant, this body, this electromagnetic being that we are in, that we are. And the food that we eat, the water we drink, and the air we breathe is the fuel which makes this electrical plant work, which he is saying. And remember what we learned about the solar plexus, because the solar plexus is the solar plexus sympathetic nervous system being the organ of the subconscious mind, and that the organ of the brain and cerebral spinal, or conscious mind, relies on the subconscious mind for its own vitality. And when since the solar plexus being the storage battery of the sympathetic nervous system, remember it is through the nervous system which vitalizes, or the sympathetic nervous system which vitalizes the entire body with energy, this plant of which we are. And sleeping being the process which allows our body to just rejuvenate, like this battery for this electrical plant. As we sleep, it's like we're plugging ourselves into the universal circuit and just being recharged. The male is the positive or electrical charge, and the female the negative or magnetic charge. The male represents current, force, energy. The female capacity, resistance, and power. What happens when one of the opposite sex comes into your magnetic field? First, the law of attraction is brought into operation. Then, by the process of induction, remember magnetic induction, when one assumes the properties of the other. You are magnetized and assume the properties of the person whom you are contacting, which makes a lot of sense, because I know for a fact that you've been with somebody where, you could kind of see where, I don't know, in a way you could see where they are in their stage of growth, in their life of development, and when somebody else that has been is way ahead of you with experience, has a lot more information than you, is just more put together than you are. And you can feel it, when you're in the presence of people like that, you can feel the greatness of their energy, you can feel, that there's a lot of growth that can be taking place there for you, that you can obtain from that person. And you feel that, you feel it. Remember, we're this aura of which surrounds all of us, this electromagnetic, this electromagnetic field of which we all have personally. It's our field, our personal field, magnetic. It's very interesting, because just as the sun, a huge body within the universe, has its own electromagnetic, field, so does the planet Earth, has its own electromagnetic field, and just the fact that the sun has such a greater magnetic force that it pulls on the Earth, and the Earth is what revolves around the sun instead of the sun being what revolves around the Earth, because of that magnetic force. I know I had mentioned this in another video a while ago, that let's say if I was out in space with someone who was twice my weight, by the law of by that magnetism, we will not only, I will be pulled to him, because he has a greater magnetic force than I do, simply because he weighs that much more. It's very, very, very interesting. And that's funny, because the only reason why we Kind of thinking for a second. Gravity. Let's go ahead and continue. When another person enters your magnetic field, what is it that passes from one to the other? What causes a thrill and tingle over the entire sympathetic nervous system? It is the cells rearranging themselves so as to carry the charge of energy, life, and vitality which is passing from one to the other, and which you are receiving by the process of induction. You are being magnetized, and in this process you are assuming the qualities and characteristics of the person whom you are contacting. In the magnetism which is passing from person to person is all the joy, all the sorrow, all the love, the hatred, the music, the art, the fear, the suffering, the success, the defeat, the ambition, the triumph, the reverence, the courage, the wisdom, the virtue, the beauty which heredity and environment have stored in the life of your love, for it is nothing less than love. This law of attraction is the law of love, and love is life. And this is the experience by which life is being quickened into action, by which character, heredity, and destiny are being determined. When you come impregnated with these thoughts of love, of success, of ambition, of triumph, of defeat, of sorrow, of hatred, of fear, or suffering, are you immediately conscious of them? By no means. Why not? The reply is very simple and easily understood. The brain is the organ of the conscious mind, and it has 5 methods only by which it can contact the objective world. These methods are the 5 senses: seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and feeling. But love is something which we cannot see, we cannot hear, neither can we taste, smell, or touch. It is therefore plainly a subconscious activity or emotion. It exists on a higher plane. The subconscious, however, has its own system of nerves, whereby it contacts every part of the body and receives sensations from the outer world. The mechanism is complete. It controls all the vital processes: the heart, the lungs, the digestion, the kidneys, the liver, the organs, and the organs of generation. Nature has evidently taken all of these out of the control of the conscious mind and placed them in the control of the more reliable subconscious, where there can be no interference. Where physical contact is made. Now, I know I talked about this a lot, and I kind of want to talk about this. I believe I had just talked about it in one of my most recent videos, but the other day when me and my brother up in the mountain, we were actually talking about the conscious and subconscious mind and the ether and, vibrations and we see light because we have eyes that are able to see that light. It's a certain rate of vibration that's traveling and vibrating at a certain frequency. We have these organs within our body that allow us to receive these vibrations and able to see the manifestation of that vibration, because if we didn't have eyes, we wouldn't be able to see light, but that the energy which makes the light is still forever there. And then when it comes to the emotions, like he's saying, you can't see an emotion, but you can feel it. It's something that exists on a higher plane. And remember that the emotions are the ones that actually give life and vitality to our thoughts, because we could we could think about anything, but until we actually connect ourselves with that idea, when we actually connect ourselves with that thought, that thought itself is not going to have any vitality. It has no strength whatsoever. It's dead. It has to be emotionalized and given life through your emotions. Where physical contact is made, an entirely different situation is created. In this case, we bring into action the cerebrospinal nervous system also through the sense of touch. You remember that the conscious mind has 5 methods by which it contacts the outer world. The sense of touch is one of these, so that actual physical contact brings into action not only the sympathetic nervous system, but the cerebrospinal nervous system also. As the brain is the organ of this system of nerves, you immediately become conscious of any such action, so that when both the emotions and the feelings are aroused by both mental and physical contact, we bring into action every nerve of the body, because the brain and cerebrospinal connect to the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, they're not the same thing. Okay, your subconscious mind works in a completely different system than your conscious mind does, because remember, the conscious mind is a system of nerves which makes decisions, like moving your fingers. When you move your fingers around, okay, getting back into all of this, okay, we have three types of muscles in the body. There's the skeletal muscles, there's the smooth muscles, and then there's the cardiac muscles. Okay, the skeletal muscular system of the body is the only muscular system in the body which is under the control of the conscious mind. Okay, it's also the only muscular system in the body which consists of motor units. Okay, going into that. Okay, when we think of moving our phalanges, okay, our brain sends electrical signals down our spinal cord, which down your spinal cord, all the way through the nerves, all the way to your phalanges. Okay, and these motor units within the phalanges, that electricity shocks these motor units. Once those motor units are shocked with the electricity, then it causes the actin and myelin sheath, which are the sarcomeres. Okay, it causes the sarcomeres, which is the functioning unit of the muscle, okay, which are in turn made of actin and myosin. Okay, the actin and myosin grab onto each other and they pull each other together, okay, which is what causes the muscle to contract. Okay, better example, I go to flex my bicep. As I bring up my arms, okay, I'm activating and shocking a lot of the motor units within my bicep, okay? And this shock is what causes the actin and myelin sheaths to grab onto each other, and they pull each other together, okay? Because as I'm bringing my bicep up, look how my muscle contracts, okay? Once that contraction happens, that's how you know where the actin and myosin sheath have pulled each other in, okay? And as I relax the muscle and stretch it out, then these actin and myelin sheaths are extending back outward, okay? We were talking about, okay, the mind, okay? The conscious mind, okay? Not only is the conscious mind, okay, that is the whole process that happens when we think about moving our fingers. All that electricity gets shot down through our arms, shocking our motor units, allowing our muscles to move. Okay, moving on. Okay, then there's the cardiac and smooth muscular systems, which are in the control of the subconscious mind. Remember, we don't have to make our hearts beat. Okay, the heart is a cardiac muscle. It's a subconscious activity. Okay, the heart beats on its own. Okay, we breathe on our own. Okay, the blood flows through our body on its own. Okay, all those are subconscious activities. They exist within the nervous system, which the conscious mind relies on. Remember, the sympathetic nervous system touches every part of the body, every single part of the body, okay, and it's the cerebrospinal that connects to the sympathetic nervous system. Okay, for example, let's say instincts, for example, when you touch something hot, okay, the sympathetic nervous system is a system of nerves which registers that that item was very, very hot before you're consciously aware of it. Okay, it's like, say for example, you touch the hot object and immediately, right away, you bring your hand off of it. Okay, your sympathetic nervous system is what told your body to move its hand away from that hot object because it was hot before you were consciously aware of it being hot. Like you touch it and then you go, oh, that was hot. You don't sit there and just be like, oh, that's hot. You touch it and then you bring your hand away because the whole process already was registered through the subconscious mind. Okay, your subconscious mind already registered everything that has happened. Okay, and you're just consciously being aware of it. Okay, moving on. All human intercourse is a matter of accommodation, and you will be a factor in determining what the relationship will be. And it rests with you to determine whether you shall be the predominant factor in the new relationship. If you give, you are the positive or predominant factor. If you receive, you are the negative or receptive factor. Each person is a magnet having both positive and negative poles, and with tendencies that impel an automatic sympathy with or antipathy towards whatever approaches or is approached. Normally, the positive poles lead the way, and the approach of two positives from opposite directions foreshadows a collision. The fundamental of life is harmony, and discords are obstructions that lie in your path. They obscure the reality of peace that lies at the heart of every experience, but as you increase in experience, you are enabled to discern the good in apparent evil, and your power of attraction increases proportionately. To the extent that you are magnetized towards a saturation point, you may determine your relation to others and their relation to you because of that process known as, what do we remember? Magnetic induction. Any magnet has the power to induce harmonious conjunction with one that is less powerful. Now remember how we were saying earlier, when you're in the presence of a great soul, you can feel the greatness of that person just by being next to them. Any magnet has the power to induce harmonious conjunction with one that is less powerful. This is accomplished by causing a reversal of polarity of one of the magnets. Then dissimilar poles come together in peace and harmony. The more positive magnet will compel the less positive magnet to become receptive to the greater power that dominates it. Then, that being true, that would just cause the lesser magnet to take on the properties of the dominant magnet. Right? Right, because that is exactly what we are learning about. The lesser magnet may be obliged to be receptive to the overpowering influence. It acknowledges the impelling power that requires it to reverse its polarity. It turns its positive pole away and its negative pole towards the positive pole of the greater magnet, and the two meet in harmonious relations. Being the negative side of the lesser magnet comes into action, because the negative side being the female, that's the most receptive part of it, and the male side being the giver, okay, that is what induces the female, okay, and that's very interesting how that also works in magnetism, because I want to add a little bit about a verse in the Bible, and how in the Bible it says that man is the head of the wife, okay? And I believe the scripture was in Ephesians, okay? But he talks about man being the head of the wife, okay? And this isn't true in earthly relations, okay? Men and women, they work together, mutually. They have to. That is the only way that men and women are going to be able to strive on this planet, is working together mutually, and understanding that each and every single one of us has our own, good and bad things about us. And back to the male and female part of our mind, okay? Just like the magnets, the male part is what induces the female part of the magnet, okay? The greater, more powerful, influential magnet is what induces the lesser female, a weaker magnet, which causes it to change its properties, okay? And then with us, the male and female parts of our mind, okay, we learn that the subconscious mind, which the conscious mind relies on for vitality, is actually under the control of our conscious mind. Whatever thoughts we entertain, whatever feelings that we have, whatever actions, even actions that we do, or whatever we see and imagine happening around us, all these things are they're being released from our consciousness out into not only the ether, but it's also impressing upon the female portion of who we are. The impressing the subconscious mind being the female portion, because it's said to be the womb of creation. It's only until you impress the subconscious mind with whatever it is that you want to have happen, that's only then will it be created into your world. And that happens through actions, okay? First thinking about it, okay, and then thinking about it sincerely, earnestly, remember concentrating on that vision, seeing yourself there, and feeling it, feeling its reality, feel that image, feel the reality of that image. That's how you're going to be able to impress the subconscious with that vision, or whatever it is that you see yourself doing, or whatever it is that you're thinking about. I know I'm not exactly doing the best today. I feel I'm not really doing that good, but that's fine. We just need to just keep doing. The negative magnet may, however, have the higher knowledge and may not desire to dominate. Possessing greater wisdom, it may disdain to use the use of force. Him saying, it's kind of like let's say with two people, for example. There's one dominant person in the group and there's one less dominant person in the group. Because one chooses to do other things, a lot of the other person, may decide to go, just decide to go with whatever it is that the other person wants to do. And he's saying that, they sometimes this happens to keep harmony between the relationship, because, like he's saying, the negative magnet may, however, have the higher knowledge, but it may not desire to dominate. If that's not your desire, then so be it. Don't worry about trying to be, the most dominant person of the group, because I've learned that it's not the most dominant person in the group that's the leader. It's not. The leader of the group is the one that's the leader of the group follows principle. The leader of the group does not dominate others. The leader of the group works with others. The leader of the group works as a team. Okay, there is no I in team. A real leader puts others before them. They're not trying to dominate others. I think so. Perhaps it prefers to conciliate, or wishes to receive rather than give, instead of forcibly obliging the lesser magnet to accommodate itself to imposed conditions. The greater magnet may voluntarily reverse its own polarity. So even the greater magnet may, for it, the greater magnet may also decide to not want to dominate and just voluntarily reverse its own polarity. For the time being, you can decide what we're going to do, and I'll just go ahead and, be a little bit, receptive to whatever it is that's going to happen. Because remember, during these processes, this magnetic induction is happening. We're changing. It's changing the arrangements of our own molecules and atoms and cells. That magnetic induction, and you can feel it, you feel that energy. Okay, where are we? If you are a great soul, you will know intuitively whether to exercise coercion or non-resistance. Where coercion is used, the resultant harmony is an involuntary and temporary submission, while the non-resistant method binds because of the sense of freedom that it confers. So basically saying, if you try to exercise control, then it's only going to be temporarily, because you're not even going to be, it's a submissive thing. You're bringing the other person to submit to you. But while the non-resistant method binds because of the sense of freedom, you're giving that person the freedom to be themselves instead of trying to dominate over them. And people know, you intuitively know when these things are happening to you. If someone's trying to take advantage of you, if somebody's trying to do this or that, you feel it. Okay, that magnetic induction, their energies are combining with yours. Okay, remember, we're all connected on more of a divine conscious level. It's the lesser parts of the divine is when people believe that they're separated from each other, but we're not separated from each other. We're all forever connected, You will find that existence involves ever-recurrent occasions for accommodations. Okay, I just skipped like 4 paragraphs. That's not good. Okay, moving back to this side. The coercive method is distinctively intellectual, while that of the non-resistant is essentially spiritual. Yeah, tell me about it. The coercive method is distinctively intellectual. Those who try to rule over the others live mainly from their intellect. their ego, while that of non-resistance is essentially spiritual. A person who doesn't want to dominate over others knows that everyone is equal, and no person has the power to dominate over the other, and has no desire to do so. If you are highly developed spiritually and similarly endowed with intellectual power, you can use the latter to the greatest advantage. In this case, you will neither discard reason or logic, because in your understanding of life's mathematics, you will make the application of spiritual geometry, mental algebra, or physical arithmetic, according to the requirements of your problem. Basically saying it's not going to be it's not bad to be very intellectual. It's good to be very intellectual, because when we understand how things work, then we could apply that knowledge directly and harmoniously to whatever it is that needs to be done. Because when we understand the mathematics of how things work, then we just know how to get it done. That's really a big difference between the intellectual man and then the spiritual man. Okay, the spiritual man is what's behind the intellectual man. The intellectual man is not as great as the spiritual. It cannot be. You will find that existence involves ever-recurrent occasions for accommodation, compromise, and reversal of polarities. You may escape compulsion through acquiescent submission, and avoid the use of force by inviting pleasurable acquiescence. Let's go ahead and look what acquiescence is. You may escape compulsion through acquiescent submission. Acquiescence. The act of or condition of acquiescing or giving tacit assent. Okay, hold on, I got my coworkers messaging me right now. We're acquiescent. T. Okay. Disposed to acquiescence or consent tacitly. Okay, acquiescent. Acquiesce. Okay, acquiescent. That's what it's called, acquiescent. Okay, acquiesce is to assent tacitly, submit or comply silently or without protest, agree, consent, to acquiesce or acquiesce. Oh my gosh. I know, you guys, this video is not very good. But it's alright, because like we would always say before, less perfection, more authenticity. Just keep reading, just keep going. It doesn't matter if you think you make mistakes or if you think you're not doing good enough. You're doing the best you can do for whatever it is you're doing right now, or however it is you're doing right now. Okay. You may command and exact unwilling obedience, or you may invite and receive voluntary cooperation. You may induce harmonies and create friendships, or you may plant hatreds that will react as obligations that must eventually be satisfied. An understanding of the properties of the human magnet will enable you to solve many of the problems of life. Conflict and opposition have their place, but ordinarily they constitute obstacles and pitfalls to be avoided. You will find that you can always avoid useless opposition and unprofitable conflict by reversing your polarity or impelling its reversal in your would-be opponent. You are indeed in the loving care of principles that are immutable and that are designed solely for your benefit. So we're learning about this magnetic thing of what we are, our own personal magnetic body, and when we're in the process, when we are in the presence of somebody else, we can feel their magnetic field, okay, that magnetic induction, and it's causing a lot of changes within us, okay, and we have the power to let that energy change our own, to be receptive to it and just go along with it, or we have the power not to and decide, hey, I'm not going to let this energy overcome me. I'm not going to let this energy make me feel this way. And then you start acting in I don't want to say opposition, but in a way you in turn reverse your own currents. So then if there's two people and they're both trying to be dominant, then of course their forces are always going to be colliding, okay, like the two north poles. Okay, remember, north and north don't attract, okay, they repel. When two people are trying to dominate over each other, their forces are going to keep colliding, okay? But if that one person decides, like, hey, you know what, I want peace, I don't want to be, fighting with this person, as hard-headed and stubborn they may be, and I completely don't agree with everything they're saying, I'm just not even really going to do anything about it, because that's not something I need to deal with right now. Things like that. You have that power, and those choices that we make is what changes the, I want to say state of consciousness, but yeah, the state of being in which we are. Because you can choose to either go with however this energy is, or you could choose not to, okay? And if this thing is greater, more powerful than you are, then you're probably going to want to leave if you don't want to be receptive to it. Okay, that's it. That's how it is, okay? You're not going to want to be in the presence of that person because it's making you feel uncomfortable. You don't want to be receptive to those energies. When you go out, pay attention to that, okay? Be mindful of all of this that we're reading right now, okay? Think about it next time you're with somebody, okay? Like, think about how the atmosphere feels, or when you go, like say when you go into a gym, for example, just feel the energy of the atmosphere, feel the place of power that you're in, the most dominant vibratory energies within the area, okay, because some areas can make you feel very, very uncomfortable, in some areas you just feel you flourish. It's amazing. It's very, very interesting. You are indeed in the loving care of principles that are immutable and that are designed solely for your benefit. You may place yourself in harmony with them and thus express a life of comparative peace and happiness, or you may put yourselves in opposition to the inevitable with necessarily unpleasant results. You determine your conscious relation to all that is. You express the exact degree of happiness or the sorry. I got the hiccups. You may place yourself in harmony with them and thus express a life of comparative peace and happiness, or you may put yourselves in opposition to the inevitable with necessarily unpleasant results. You determine your conscious relation to all that is. You express the exact degree of happiness or the reverse that you have earned through the associations which you have permitted to come into your life. You may from any one experience learn the spiritual lesson it was intended to convey, or you may make necessary many similar experiences. You may gather wisdom from experience rapidly with ease, or you may do so slowly with difficulty. You are able to consciously control your conditions as you come to sense the purposes of what you attract. You are able to extract from the experiences that which you require for further growth. When you possess this faculty to a high degree, you may grow rapidly to reach planes of thought, where opportunities for greater service await you. It remains for you on each successive plane to learn how to express the greater harmonies that your higher growth has placed within your reach. I also want to talk about the point when he says reaching higher planes of thought. Okay, right now we are currently on part 21 out of the Master Key System by Charles F. Haanel, and in part 21 he talks about one of the biggest secrets of any successful person is that they focus on big thoughts. Okay, they concentrate all their mind forces on bigger thoughts. Okay, because remember, we become what we think about. Okay, and the thoughts which we think habitually, our predominant mental attitudes are, the who we are. Our dominant mental attitude is who we are. Okay, they say it's not your mental attitude after you read a good book, or your mental attitude after you've done something that makes you feel better or think better. Okay, it's your predominant mental attitude, the thoughts which you are thinking continuously, and that's why it's very important to concentrate your mind to think bigger thoughts. Okay, remember, your brain literally changes its own circuit in according to whatever thoughts you are thinking. Okay, when you have greater, more harmonious and grandeur thinking, then of course your brain cells, them in turn, in general, is going to be structured and grown into a greater, more grandeur thought world. Okay, because you're pushing your mind to higher limits to higher planes of thinking. Remember, the thoughts of every sage, the thoughts of every philosopher, every single thought which has ever existed is still in existence. It's in existence all around us, right this very second. Okay, it's just us pushing our own thoughts to reaching that plane of thinking. So then we could in turn create that circuit within our own minds and then start pulling all of that information out of the ether. It's it's a very, very interesting thing. Let us continue. When you possess this faculty to a high degree, you may grow rapidly and reach planes of thought where opportunities for greater service await you. It remains for you on each successive plane to learn how to express the greater harmonies that your higher growth has placed within your reach, for it is only through expression that you may appropriate what it is for your use or benefit. So basically, every time when you grow, when you learn new things, you have to in a way reestablish yourself. Okay, you have to appropriate that within yourself, because hold on. For it is only through expression that you may appropriate what is for your use or benefit. You have to express it. Like me with these books. Okay, I know ultimately I'm probably going to be doing this for years. Ultimately in the end, I know something positive is going to come from it out of doing all this for me. But it's only going to be I'm only going to get that positive outcome if I actually express what it is I'm thinking about, because this is the type of things I'm always thinking about. And sometimes I have days where I'm not even too sure what it is I'm doing. I'm reading this book, I'm making this video, recording this book that not a whole lot of people even a lot of people haven't even heard of Charles F. Haanel. A lot of people themselves don't even know about themselves, and there's a lot of people who don't even really seem interested in finding out that this portion about themselves. They're more interested in Kanye's West next biggest song, or the latest kicks that came out from Nike. They're interested in those things, and those aren't really the things that interest me. These shoes I'm wearing, I got them for my brother for Christmas last year. They're pretty much falling apart. I still use them every day. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes I just feel that a lot of the things I'm interested in, I don't know. I haven't met a whole lot of people that are into all of this too. So sometimes it's just like, what am I doing? But at the same time, it's like I believed I could really make something happen out of this, not just for me, but for everybody. Because how awesome would it be to talk with somebody about magnetic induction? How awesome would it be to talk with somebody about your thoughts in the ether? And how thoughts are things, and how we become what we think about, and how we need to emotionalize our thoughts and have a connection with whatever it is that we're thinking in order to really bring that into our lives. Because it's only when we actually feel it, we feel it's reality, thought. It's like I said before, everybody thinks about going to the gym. Every single person thinks about going to the gym, okay? But only those people that emotionalize themselves with going to the gym, they connect themselves with it. It becomes a part of who they are. And they get to the point, if they don't go, then they feel that something's missing, okay? That's what we need to get to. We need to get to that point when we feel that, hey, I was doing this before and it made me feel amazing. Okay, I'm not really doing this now, and this is how I feel now. Okay, maybe somewhere down the line I should probably come back to this and see how it makes me feel again, because maybe it may still be for me. Okay, and that's kind of something that I feel with this. It's already been over a year since I've been doing things like this. I haven't read nearly as many books as I made my goal to. But that's alright, because I know I've learned a lot along the process, okay? Not just learning from the things I've read, but just life experience in general, going out there and just living, and also meeting all those people and starting my fitness training. It was when I really started my fitness career. I really started to meet tons and tons of people and learning really how to interact with, I don't want to say interact with people, because a lot of people think I'm kind of weird, but just, being you. Let's go ahead and continue. You have now entered upon the borderland of the basic, the fundamental, the active principle of life. Little did you realize a few years ago the innumerable vibrations which surround you, such as electric, magnetic, heat, actinic, the control and the use of which are now keeping you busy. Suppose that what you term, quote, electrons, end quote, should be active centers of intelligence connected with an infinite mind, which is all-wise and all-knowing, that marvelous mind which thinks with design and sees ends from beginning. Suppose that, quote, electrons, end quote, should not be centers of force or energy only, but centers of intelligence, and that mankind will finally discover that the brain is an organized center of millions of these intelligent electrons, and that they are in contact with all other electrons of which the universe is composed. Now also he says it right here. Okay, electrons being the thing, the most basic substance of everything. Okay, the electron is what makes the atom. Okay, and this book is made of atoms. Okay, which in turn are made of electrons. Okay, well, actually this book is made out of molecules, which in turn are made out of atoms. Okay, going back still further, inorganic mineral. Okay, this book's made out of inorganic mineral. Okay, it's in turn made of molecules, in turn made of atoms, in turn made of electrons. And electrons, he is saying, is not only all force and all energy, but it's also all power and all intelligence. And these electrons are everywhere. They're everywhere. Okay, they permeate everything. They fill everything. They manifest in and as everything. Okay, and electrons not only exist as waves, but they also exist as particles, meaning they exist in an invisible side, and they also exist on the visible side. Which, that being said, the electrons is the most basic substance of the universe. Everything is electromagnetic in nature. We already learned that, okay? Electromagnetic in nature. And we're made out of these electrons. The universe is the effect of a system of vibration. The cosmos is organized by the action of energy, vibrating in accordance with certain rates which express themselves in form. The universe could, therefore, in no case be any wise different than it is unless the vibratory influence which organized it had been different, meaning that everything in the universe is the way it is simply because of the vibrations within the ether, within this solar fluid, the electrons, okay? And everything would be different if the system was different. Like, all the manifestations would be different if the system itself worked in a different way. The universe could, therefore, in no case be anywise different than it is unless the vibratory influence which organized it had been different, the universe being the expression in form of those vibratory influences which have organized it out of the cosmic energy, or ether. Sir William Crookes took some very fine sand and scattered it over a head of a drum. Then, by taking a tuning fork and sounding different notes just above the drum head, so that the vibrations set in motion by this particular key would vibrate upon the drum head, the sand was seen to shift and assume a definite geometrical figure, corresponding to the particular note which was sounded. Okay, back to our solfeggio. Okay, remember the original solfeggio, the 7 basic sounds. Okay. He's saying here they're doing a test with sound, okay? And he said they took a tuning fork and they started sounding different notes just above the drum head. Remember, this drum head is filled with sand, so that the vibration set in motion by the particular key. Okay, so let's say they play, well, let's say B flat. Okay, remember how we were talking just in the beginning of this book? I believe it was B flat that he mentioned. Okay, let's say we tune in B flat. Okay, then the tuning fork will in turn be hold on, no, we're not doing the tuning fork, we're doing the drum head. Okay, so we tune the fork. Okay, so then the drum head, the vibration set in motion by the particular key would vibrate upon the drum head, and then the sand which was on the drum's head was seen to shift and assume a definite geometrical pattern. Okay, so the sand took on the shape according to the nature of the vibration. Okay, remember how we were saying with the colors? Okay, like let's say red, for example. Red is a long wave. Okay, once these long wave vibrations reach your retina, then you see the color red. Okay, now let's say, for example, sound. Okay, sound, the most lowest sound frequency would be connected with the just like the color red. Okay, it's a deep, low pitch. Okay, we'll use that as this being that. Okay, so if we use this, for example, as the tune which is going through the drum head, okay, the vibrations of that voice will react upon the sand, okay, and the sand which is on the drum head from all the vibrations will then vibrate and make a specific pattern. Okay, it's very interesting, and I'm pretty sure it was in a very recent one too, when he was talking about snowflakes. You know, when it's snowing and snowflakes are coming out of the atmosphere, why these snowflakes are designed differently, and why not all of them look the same. Okay, he says the design of the snowflakes are different because of the vibrations at that current moment in time that exists within the atmosphere. Very, very cool. When another note was sounded, the sand shifted and assumed another figure, demonstrating that the notes of a musical scale will produce a corresponding form in any substance sufficiently plastic to assume form under their direction. Okay, we're going to go ahead and end it right here. No, it's 12:04. Okay, yeah, we're going to go ahead and